The bell above the cafe door chimed softly as Daniel stepped inside, shaking off the cold from his jacket. The place smelled of roasted coffee beans and warm cinnamon, the kind of comforting scent that made people linger longer than they planned. He came here almost every afternoon. Same corner table, same black coffee, same silence. It had been 2 years since his wife passed away, and somehow this small cafe had become his refuge. Not because it held memories of her, but because it held none. Here, he could exist without being reminded of hospital rooms, whispered goodbyes, and empty houses. He sat down, pulled out his notebook, and pretended to write. Mostly, he just stared at the page. Across the room, Emma struggled to balance a tray while keeping an eye on her 6-year-old son, Noah. Being a single mom wasn't easy, especially after her husband left shortly after Noah was born. She worked part-time at the cafe, trying to save enough to move into a better apartment someday. Until then, Noah spent his afternoons sitting at a small table near the window, coloring or quietly playing with toy cars. Emma noticed Daniel right away. She always did. He was hard to miss, not because he was loud or demanding, but because he looked invisible. He never smiled, never spoke to anyone, always ordered the same thing, always left an exact tip, and always carried that same haunted look in his eyes. "Mom," Noah whispered, tugging on her sleeve. "Yes, sweetheart." "That man looks sad." Emma followed Noah's gaze to Daniel. She sighed softly. "Some people carry heavy feelings inside, baby." Noah frowned, studying Daniel like a puzzle. "Can we help him?" Emma smiled gently. Sometimes grown-ups don't know how to accept help. But Noah didn't stop watching. Daniel lifted his cup and took a slow sip, unaware that a small pair of eyes were fixed on him with concern. Over the next few weeks, Noah began waving at Daniel whenever he came in. Daniel would nod politely, unsure what to do with a child's cheerful attention. Once, Noah even walked over and offered him a crayon drawing of a stick figure family under a bright yellow sun. Daniel accepted it awkwardly. "Thank you," he said. Noah beamed like he'd just won a prize. That small moment cracked something open in Daniel, though he didn't realize it yet. One rainy afternoon, the cafe was quieter than usual. Emma was behind the counter, wiping down cups, while Noah sat coloring again. Daniel sat in his usual spot, staring out the window at people rushing by under umbrellas. Noah folded his paper carefully. Then he stood up. Emma noticed too late. "Noah." But her son was already walking toward Daniel. Daniel looked up as the boy approached, clutching something in his small hand. "Hi," Noah said softly. "Hello," Daniel replied, forcing a smile. Noah placed a folded letter on the table beside Daniel's coffee. "This is for you." Daniel blinked. "For me?" Noah nodded seriously. "You look lonely." Before Daniel could respond, Noah turned and hurried back to his mother. Emma's heart raced. She mouthed, "I'm sorry," from behind the counter. Daniel stared at the folded paper. He hesitated. Then slowly he opened it. The handwriting was uneven, clearly done by a child. Some letters were backwards, some words were misspelled. But Daniel could read it. "Hi, mister. My name is Noah. I see you here lots. You always sit alone. My mom says some people are sad inside. I think you are. I don't know why you are sad, but I hope you feel better. My mom says when people are lonely they forget they are important. So I wanted to tell you that you are important. If you want, you can sit with us sometime. I share my cookies." Daniel's hands began to shake. He read it again. And again. His vision blurred. No one had called him important since Emily died. His chest tightened as memories flooded back. Emily laughing in the kitchen, Emily brushing her hair before bed, Emily squeezing his hand in the hospital and whispering, "Don't disappear when I'm gone." He had disappeared. He stopped calling friends, stopped answering messages, stopped caring whether he woke up some mornings. And now a 6-year-old boy had seen him. Really seen him. Tears slipped down Daniel's face before he could stop them. He covered his mouth, trying to stay quiet, but a soft sob escaped. Emma noticed immediately. She rushed over, fear written across her face. "I'm so sorry," she said quickly. "Noah didn't mean to upset you." Daniel shook his head, wiping his eyes. "No," he whispered, "he didn't upset me. He held up the letter. He reminded me I'm still alive." Emma froze. Noah peeked out from behind her leg. "Did I do bad?" Noah asked. Daniel stood slowly and knelt in front of him. "No," Daniel said, voice breaking. "You did something very good." Noah tilted his head. "You gonna be okay?" Daniel nodded. "Because of you, yeah, I think I am." Emma watched, stunned, as this stranger, this quiet, distant man, opened up in front of her child. Daniel stood back up. "Thank you," he said to Emma. "You're raising an incredible little human." Her eyes filled with tears. After that day, things changed. Daniel started sitting closer to Noah's table. Sometimes Noah would bring over his coloring books. Sometimes Daniel would read him short stories from his phone. Emma would join them when she could, coffee in hand, exhaustion softening into smiles. Daniel began talking again. About his wife. About how empty his house felt. Emma listened without judgment. She shared pieces of her own story too. How Noah's father left. How hard it was to juggle work and motherhood. How she sometimes cried in the shower so Noah wouldn't hear. They weren't fixing each other. They were simply witnessing each other. Weeks turned into months. Daniel stopped pretending to write in his notebook. He actually started journaling. He joined a grief support group. He even laughed, really laughed, when Noah spilled juice on his pants and announced, "Now you match the table." One evening, as the cafe closed, Daniel helped Emma stack chairs while Noah played nearby. "I don't know what would have happened if your son hadn't given me that letter," Daniel admitted quietly. Emma smiled. "Kids see things adults miss." Daniel nodded. "He saved me." Emma didn't argue. Spring arrived gently, bringing sunlight through the cafe windows and fresh flowers to the sidewalk outside. Daniel no longer came just for coffee. He came for people. He'd become part of Emma and Noah's routine, helping with homework, fixing a broken toy, walking them home sometimes when Emma worked late. Neighbors began to assume he was Noah's uncle. In a way, he was. One afternoon, as Noah drew pictures at their usual table, Emma watched Daniel explain something with animated hand gestures. Her heart felt full and afraid. She'd grown close to Daniel, closer than she'd expected, but life had taught her not to assume happy endings. Later that evening, after Noah fell asleep in his small bed at home, Emma walked Daniel to the door. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything." "Why do you keep coming back?" Daniel thought for a moment. "Because your son reminded me I still matter, and because you both gave me a reason to try again." Emma swallowed hard. Daniel hesitated, then continued. "I'm not looking to replace anyone," he said softly. "Emily will always be part of me, but I'd like to build something new if that's okay." Emma nodded slowly. "I'd like that too." They didn't rush. They took things slow, for Noah's sake, for their own healing. Daniel learned how to pack school lunches. Emma learned how to let someone help carry the weight. And Noah gained a second father figure without even realizing he'd created one. 1 year later, Daniel framed Noah's letter and hung it in his living room. Whenever the loneliness tried to creep back in, he would read it again. "My mom says when people are lonely, they forget they are important." He never forgot again. Because sometimes, healing doesn't come from therapists or grand speeches. Sometimes it comes from a small boy, a folded piece of paper, and three simple words. You are important.